Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 274 for December 13th, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the Heisman Trophy is awarded to quarterback Caleb Williams of USC, and Army defeats Navy in double overtime. In this week's history lesson, we have part 4 of our conversation on the greatest offensive and defensive unit nicknames in football history. But I'm not here by myself, of course. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Yep, I usually need as much prep time to run this show as Baker Mayfield does to run an NFL offense.
Wow. That's good. That was an incredible game.
20 snaps.
I'm happy for him.
20 practice snaps.
I'm happy for him. I'm upset that LA might be winning a few games because that's hurting Detroit's draft pick that they're getting from them this year. But good for him on Thursday, or what was it, Monday night?
We'll talk about it in a second. Don't worry. The scoreboard's right around the corner. Just once you're done doing your reading thing.
Okay. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start with the first game of the NFL's Week 14 slate, which, as we were just talking about, was the Rams taking on the Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday Night Football. And we left off last week's show talking about how Baker Mayfield was just signed by the Rams, or picked up off of waivers. Then he probably flew out that night, probably got to L.A. on Wednesday. I don't know if he practiced that day, but he probably didn't practice till that Thursday right before the game. And I heard 20 snaps. He gets in on the second drive for the Rams and threw a couple sharp passes, but they were down 16-3 with about 3 or 5 minutes left in that game, and he orchestrated some long drives to get them the victory, 17-16 over those Raiders, who have blown. This is like the fourth blown lead for the Raiders this season.
Double digits or 12 points, 13 points, something like that.
Something like that. But hey, Baker Mayfield, congratulations. Weird seeing him in number 17.
Yeah.
But he's also the first player in NFL history to orchestrate game-winning, to win a game after being down by double digits, I think. Bring his team back. He did that in his first game ever with the Browns, and it's his first ever game with the Rams. So he's the first player to ever do it with
two different teams.
Two different teams in their first game with that team. So Baker Mayfield in the history books, good for him. Who knows what his status will be going forward, or if he'll be any better. But hey, live in that moment.
I didn't even think he was going to play. I mean, I thought we might see him on.
I thought you'd see him a little
sidelines, maybe late in the game, if some garbage time or whatever. No, the first series, was that a 3-and-out the first series?
I think it was a 3-and-out the first series. Then they sent him in second series.
And he never came out. And man, oh man. I mean, he played okay for most of the game.
Oh yeah, he wasn't great by
the
any
last
means.
Two drives there at the end of the game were fantastic. But even so, he was throwing the ball with authority, and he knew where the receivers were, or the receivers knew where they had to be, and maybe they didn't catch it, but they were right there. That was something
Herb Street, I think, talked about on the broadcast, is like just even knowing the timing of some of these routes after being there for a day, speaks volumes to either. I don't know if Baker's got that photographic memory thing like you hear a lot of quarterbacks tend to have nowadays. Like there's a few of them out there who say they have photographic memory. Baker's got some sort of memory, because to pick that up and he threw some sharp passes. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, his passes look good. I heard something where the coach that was speaking to him in his headset, Baker would call the play based on what he had on his wristband, and then the coach in his ear would translate that into something that Baker could understand, and that's how he was able to know what the play was or where the ball was going.
Interesting.
That's what I heard.
That's still complicated, and in a Sean McVay offense, nonetheless, that's got to be really daunting. Yeah. But hey, the only thing that sucks about this is that it hurts the Lions' draft spot there. Yeah. But you know what? It was a cool story. Congratulations to Baker.
Well, after we win the Super Bowl this year, we're gonna we're gonna have the 32nd first round pick.
Calm down.
Anything before that's gravy.
Moving on, let's talk about a team that actually might be in the Super Bowl, as the Buffalo Bills in the early slate of games on Sunday defeated the New York Jets 20-12. I didn't see much from this game other than the fact that quarterback Mike White of the Jets was in and out of that game with a rib injury a couple of times.
They were coming after him so bad and just grabbing him and smacking him to the ground. It was awful. I felt bad for him, all the highlights that I saw.
And yet he still might play.
Yeah.
He's got, I don't know if it's bruised ribs or what, but he still might play this upcoming Sunday against Detroit. So we'll see. I mean, tough guy there.
Mm-hmm.
I got to applaud that. All right, the Cincinnati Bengals handled the Cleveland Browns 23-10. I ain't got much from this other than the Bengals are seemingly back.
Yeah. Cleveland hasn't done too well under their Deshaun Watson quarterback.
Two games. I think 2 games, and they haven't scored.
The first game was all the defense. I mean, they recovered a fumble and returned an interception or something. That was most of the points. He didn't throw any touchdowns or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think he's scored anything yet since coming back to the league. So, all right, and then moving on, the Houston Texans almost got that upset against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, as the Cowboys came out with the victory 27-23, thanks to like a last-minute Ezekiel Elliott touchdown, which gave them the lead. But man, the Texans had the Cowboys number for most of this game.
I was so rooting for Houston in that
I think
game.
we all were.
When I saw what they were doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna win this game possibly. And they came close.
We were hoping.
Came close.
The Philadelphia Eagles ran all over the New York Giants 48-22. The Eagles at 12-1 are the first team in the league to clinch a playoff spot.
Well, that's not surprising. They've been, the best team all season long, and it does not surprise me that they're the first ones to do that.
Mm-hmm. All right, then the Baltimore Ravens defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 16-14. I believe quarterback Kenny Pickett went out with a concussion during the game.
Yeah, he did. Didn't you show me a big picture of him with a big knot on his head?
No, that was a player we'll talk about later on down the line.
Yeah.
But a few quarterbacks this week went down with some really bad injuries. So the Ravens getting that 9-4 win, hoping for Lamar Jackson to come back any week now. The Jacksonville Jaguars put up some points against the Tennessee Titans, 36-22. How about that?
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
No, I mean, Evan Ingram had a great day. Trevor Lawrence looked incredible. A lot of great highlights from that game. Then the Minnesota Vikings could clinch the NFC North with a victory on Sunday, but were denied by the Detroit Lions, 34-23. A game where the Lions were favored during the week for some reason, and almost every analyst was scratching their heads. If you would have watched that Fox pregame show, it seemed like none of them believed that was going to happen.
Right.
Nobody had faith in the Lions. I mean, I found Cowherd was picking the Lions, on his show earlier in the week or on that Friday, and then Darren Orlovsky with ESPN usually had the Lions back all year. So the Lions did it. They are the 9th team to do that, where they were the a sub 500 team beating a team with 10+ wins. So those teams are not. I think that makes it 9-0, just straight up, and then 9-0 in against the spread. So the Lions covering again for like the 5th straight week too.
Yeah, on the Fox pregame, Michael Strahan picked the Lions.
Nope, Strahan picked the Vikings by 5.
That's what I meant. He picked the Lions game, but he picked Minnesota to win it. And I couldn't believe that. I just had a feeling that Detroit was really going to show up, especially at home with the crowd behind them. It was another standing room only crowd. They were selling standing room only tickets, and so I knew that Detroit was going to be in this.
I figured it'd be a game that they'd be in because they played Minnesota tough in their building last time. Yes. That was week 3, so we're talking 10 weeks ago that they did that. And the Lions kind of had some bad clock management at the end of the game there and ended up losing it. And this game was total opposite. First, they took a couple drives to get going, but Jameson Williams coming in, his first NFL catch was a touchdown pass. I think that was a
41 is what I think.
41-yard touchdown. So that was a lot of fun and great to see him celebrating. That was his only catch of the day. So 100% every catch he makes in the NFL is a touchdown.
Now, I think they threw to him a second time.
They did throw it to him, but he didn't catch it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw another play where he actually blocked somebody.
Oh, yeah, he went out and blocked.
Yeah, on that touchdown by Jackson.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think it was on that play, and he made a pretty darn good block. He smacked a guy and got him out of the way.
But there was so much in this game. There was a crucial 4th down. The Lions went for a fake punt on their own end of the field, a ballsy call, where they ran it, they got the yardage, and then some to really swing momentum in their favor. And I won't say they threw everything at the kitchen sink, but I mean, between that and then, they had the lead. They were playing tough. I mean, yeah, Minnesota was getting some garbage time yardage with, Justin Jefferson, who's, one of the league's best receivers, if not the best receiver in the league, getting a franchise record 200-something receiving yards. Kirk Cousins throwing for 400 yards. But when time was on the Lions side where they needed to start running it out, they did what they didn't do in that first game, and that was they would wait till it got down, and then they would run the play finally. Yeah. Everything I complained about, it seemed like the coaching staff learned from that, which, thank goodness, that's what I want to see my team do, is improve and learn. And then they pull out the next great play that you didn't see coming was they've been doing this thing for a few weeks now where they'll have an extra lineman in, and then they'll have that lineman kind of run motion and then block. And so the Vikings, I think they did that earlier in the game, so they set that play up. So they ran right tackle Penei Sewell, Lions' first-round pick from last year, in motion, probably not thinking a dang thing, and he was wide open on a crucial 3rd down, catches the pass from Jared Goff, and lands for the first down to keep the clock running. I mean, we gave it to him with like 20 seconds left, I think, after we kicked the field goal, but by then it was Minnesota was going to need a real miracle. But, man, Detroit finishing that game that way is something I haven't seen them do in a long time.
This wasn't the cakewalk of the Jacksonville game where you knew halfway through the first quarter you knew they were going to win this game, and they never let up. This one was a bit of a nail-biter towards the end, but even though they were still ahead, and you just had the feeling that they were going to find a way to hang on and get the win this time, and they did.
I had that feeling like this was the second week in a row where I just sat there like I didn't sit on the edge of the couch. I just kind of leaned back, and was I tense? Oh, I was tense at some points. But never did I once have to lean forward, and I got like that. I was like, you know what? I think they got this. I know they're not winning right now, or maybe it looks like it's close, but for whatever reason, my gut was telling me they got it, which 2 weeks in a row it's hard to explain as a Lions fan. This is a weird feeling for all of us. That's why the next 4 games, as winnable as they are, still make me nervous, but maybe they got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's what makes me nervous, because we've been there before, and we're like, they're going to find a way to screw it up, but are these the same old Lions? As the Pat McAfee show calls them, they might be the brand new Lions, and we can only hope so.
Yeah.
But anything else on the Lions before we move on?
No, they've got 4 games left, and I'm looking at those games, and they're all winnable.
Every game is winnable. But this is the NFL where
3 out of 4 are on the road, but I still say these are winnable games for Detroit.
And since it is the NFL, you can have a Texans giving the Cowboys a run for their money situation with any of these games, so I will not take one for granted.
Nope.
So I will not fully drink the blue Kool-Aid, but damn, it does feel good. And I actually am kind of confident in Detroit down the stretch, but we'll see. Speaking of kind of confidence, you always got to have that in one quarterback named Patrick Mahomes, as the Chiefs got into a shootout apparently with the Denver Broncos, 34-28. They were leading this game big, and then the Broncos started pulling back, but Russell Wilson did end up getting knocked out of that game. He's the quarterback that had the big old welt on the side of his head. I'm still not sure about his status, if he'll be able to go. I think they already ruled him out for next week, I think we saw on the ticker last night during the Monday night game.
Don't recall.
But, so with the loss, though, Denver at 3-10 are now eliminated from the playoffs. They become the 3rd team eliminated officially, I believe.
Okay.
So that's 3 down, and there's 14 teams that are going to get into the playoffs, doing some quick math, and quite a few more teams to get eliminated. All right, and then in a game that you ended up seeing, because the game we'll talk about after that was a bit of a letdown, the Carolina Panthers defeated the Seattle Seahawks 30-24, as most of the nation got this game switched to this game. So, hey, good for the Panthers, a scrappy win against a decent Seahawks team. Both these teams with playoff aspirations right now. Everybody's still in it there.
Yeah.
And the game that everybody turned away from that was a bit of a shock was the 49ers defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the America's Game of the Week. 35-7. It was no contest. Tom Brady defeated by Mr. Irrelevant in his first ever start for the 49ers.
Yep.
Who would have thought that? What was his name? Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, a name that will live forever now as the first ever rookie quarterback to go up against Tom Brady and win.
Yeah.
Is he the future for the San Francisco 49ers? Who knows? They got to hurt Jimmy Garoppolo and they got to hurt Trey Lance. This Purdy kid, who knows what they're going to do. But good for the 49ers. I think I said last week that I didn't believe they'd make the playoffs. I take it all back. Purdy might be good enough to keep that team afloat, and that defense is legit. So congratulations to the 49ers, and you might be the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I was doing something during that second game. After the Lions game, I was busy doing other stuff, and late in the game, when I saw that the score was like 35-0, I wanted to go watch some of this game to enjoy Brady going down in defeat, and I flip on the TV, and they had already changed to the Carolina Seattle game.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to enjoy my victory there.
But there's a great clip. I mean, you could go. I sent it to you on Twitter, but it was the Kurt Menefee from Fox going, and we're going to switch your game over to a more competitive game right now. And I was just like, wow, they really did. That's a slap in the face.
What if that had been a game they flexed?
Oh, what if?
And then they're going away from it.
You know what? Boy. That's another thing that I want to complain to the NFL about is the flexing. Like, hey, how come we got to keep dealing with the Colts in prime time when you got the Detroit Lions playing some pretty good ball right now, and you're not giving them any primetime games yet?
Yeah. There's a game that's been flexed for this coming weekend.
Yeah, this Saturday they flexed.
I forget which one it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But
should have been in our news story, but whatever. All right, then on the Sunday night game, the Los Angeles Chargers got the victory over the Miami Dolphins, 23-17. I didn't really see much of this game, but I did see a great play where the ball was fumbled by Miami, and Tyreek Hill was able to pick up this fumble and scored a long touchdown. I think that was like a 50-yard touchdown he scored. He scooped it and ran it in, and Tyreek Hill is so stinking fast. I'm surprised they just don't do that more often. Hey, fumble it to this guy.
I think I fell asleep during the Sunday night game, and of course I fell asleep during the next game you're going to talk about too.
You fall asleep.
Monday night game.
You fall asleep during most football games.
After halftime, I'll bet.
How can you even run a football podcast when you barely can stay through a game?
I don't know.
And then the Monday night game last night, the New England Patriots got the 27-13 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Not much from this game other than the big sad news that Kyler Murray went down with an MCL tear, I want to say. I can't remember if it was MCL or ACL.
They said it was a non-contact. And when
you see that replay, he was just like pivoting on that
it
leg.
Didn't look that bad, but wow.
The way his leg buckled. Ugh.
And I guess he's out for the season.
He's out for the season, it sounds like. And this is the type of injury that could last almost a year. So it could be till next November, December until he might even see a football field again.
Wow.
But we'll see. I'm not sure the exact prognosis, but that is a tough one to see, especially for a great young talent like him. And that definitely makes me kind of want to see that Hard Knocks episode now and just be like, what's going to happen around this team?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I haven't seen any of them so far. But
I haven't, but that might make me curious. On bye this week, the Colts, Saints, Falcons, Bears, Commanders, and Packers. And that is it for the NFL portion of the World of Football scoreboard. We will now throw it over to Randy, who's got some college scores.
Only one score in the FBS level of college football, and it was the 123rd meeting of Army-Navy. This game was played in Philadelphia. Army came out on top by the score of 20-17 in double overtime. The uniforms they were wearing were really, really sharp.
Every year they've been doing some great stuff. Some good stuff, some not so good stuff with those uniforms, but they always make them unique.
Yeah, and it was. I didn't get a chance to see this game. I was gone most of the day that day, and so I missed seeing the actual game itself. But Navy now leads the all-time series with 62 wins, 54 losses, and 7 ties. Navy's head coach, Ken Neomatalolo, was fired after the game. He'd been there for 15 years, since 2007, and is the midshipmen's all-time winningest coach. He compiled a record of 109 wins, 43 losses overall. At one time, he had a 14-game winning streak over Army, but not anymore. This is Army's 5th win in the last 7 years. So it's kind of like Michigan, Ohio State. If you can't beat your arch rival at the end of the season, you're not going to be there very long, no matter how good your record is.
Right.
And of course, Navy's had a couple of, I think it was 2 4-8 seasons the last 2 years, so they've kind of fallen on hard times. But he's had a great career there at the Naval Academy, and it's too bad that they decided to go in a different direction because of 2 bad years. Oh well. So that was it for the FBS level. Just like I said, just the one game. But there were playoffs going on at the FCS level. In their quarterfinals, it was South Dakota State over Holy Cross, 42-21. North Dakota State over Samford, 27-9. Montana State over William and Mary, 55-7. And the University of Incarnate Word over Sacramento State, 66-63. Boy, that must have been a real shootout to watch. So this weekend, you've got the semifinal round with South Dakota taking on Montana State and North Dakota State taking on Incarnate Word. Now in Division II, the semifinals of their playoffs were this weekend. It was Ferris State from right here in Michigan over West Florida, 38-17. And the Colorado School of Mines defeated Shepherd 44-13. So that sets up the Division II title game this coming Saturday between Ferris State and the Colorado School of Mines. Ferris State is the defending national champion at the Division II level. And then we've got in Division III, their semifinals were also this past weekend. It was Mount Union over Wartburg, 34-31. And North Central of Illinois over Mary Hardin Baylor, 49-14. That sets up the championship game this Friday in Division III, also known as the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl, which will see Mount Union versus North Central of Illinois. You want more championship football? We've got it. At the NIA level, it's their championship game this Saturday. Number 3, Northwestern of Iowa is going to take on number 12, Kaiser of Florida. And at the junior college level, number 1, Hutchinson versus number 3, Iowa Western. That game is going to be on ESPNU if you want to watch that. I'm sure the other championship games are going to be on some of the ESPN channels also. So check those out, and be a big championship game weekend. 4 different divisions all have their championship games over this coming weekend. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
All right, well, we do have kind of one sort of breaking story. It's more about a university and their athletic department as opposed to maybe just solely a football story, but I'm sure football would be involved in this, as a judge orders Michigan State to release donor agreements with 2 alumni who gave or pledged millions to their athletic department. So that's a story that is just now breaking on ESPN. So just very interesting there. Just thought that would be something to bring up real fast.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on to some NFL news. at&t Stadium in Texas is getting a $295 million upgrade.
Already?
In preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which I guess is going to be held, obviously, here in the United States, and that's one of the locations.
Well, I think they're doing it in, U.S., Mexico, and Canada. I think we're all getting cities to host their games in.
Okay, sounds good. The at&t Stadium is only 13 years old, and I read an article earlier this morning that said there weren't any specifications on what was going to be upgraded, but I saw another one just a little while ago. It said the upgrades, they're going to make upgrades to their premium spaces, meaning the luxury suites and that sort of thing. Of course.
You're going to be hosting a lot of oil tycoons from around the globe.
Yeah. And then stadium technology, which I think will probably be your internet connections and stuff. They did that at Ford Field a few years ago, and put
it could still use some work. Sheila Fordham, I'm just gonna let you know.
They were putting hotspots all over the stadium, so everybody would be able to get decent internet service in the stadium.
I wish I got decent internet service in that stadium.
Well, maybe we were just.
It was very hit and miss the last couple of times I've gone. And also, I want to clarify, Kyler Murray is out for the season with a torn ACL. I kept saying MCL. It is an ACL as I look up that. Okay. I know there's probably a Cardinals fan out there yelling at me. So I cleared it up, all right? Okay. Jeez, get off my back.
And last night on the Manning cast, Eli and Peyton were saying that they're each going to be coaching a flag football team during this year's Pro Bowl activities. They're not going to have an actual game anymore.
Boo.
So now it's going to be a flag football game of, the players who were named to the Pro Bowl. So that's what the world's come to now. Peyton and Eli coaching against each other in a flag football game.
I mean,
sad.
It's.
I like Peyton and Eli.
I'm not going to knock it yet. We'll have to wait and see how this is all kind of packaged and given to us on TV. Because I guess the potential is there. I'm just not looking forward to it. I have no desire or care. Even Peyton and Eli can't make me sit around a TV to watch it. But I'll check it out, and if maybe it's entertaining enough, or if I see clips of it, maybe then the next year I'll be more apt to check it out. We'll see what they want to do, because it's going to be very weird. It'll be the first year they do this.
I would hope that NFL Network would re-show some of the better Pro Bowl games of the past. I mean, wouldn't you like to see Joe Montana handing off to Barry Sanders and running up the middle for a yard or something like that? Bring back. I mean, these were all-star games. You've got all the stars on the field at one time. Let's re-show some of those old games when they actually played football.
And you get on me for being into fantasy football, and he's over there talking about Joe Montana handing off to Barry Sanders. What is this, a video game? Get out of here.
In some CFL news, I was surprised that the 2023 CFL schedule was released today. The 3-week preseason begins on Monday. Why are they starting on a Monday? May 22nd. And the 18-game regular season, which runs over 21 weeks, will begin on Thursday, June 8th, and end on October 28th. And the season will be capped with the 110th Grey Cup game, which is going to be played in Hamilton on Sunday, November 19th. So if you're a fan of a CFL team, you can go right now and see the entire schedule, or just your particular team's home and away schedule. So it's pretty cool. The NFL, they normally wait like 3 or 4 months to release their schedule. It's only been a month or so, and here we are talking about the CFL season already for next year. Of course, they've only got 9 teams, so it's a little easier to put their schedule together. In some XFL news, the XFL uniforms were released last week. I know you had some opinions on some of the uniforms.
Yeah, it's like we should have done a video, and we never did.
But what did you think of some of them? Which one was the best uniform? Which one was the worst uniform?
I'm pulling up an image right now of them. I think on the whole, like, I just saw them by themselves before they were on a mannequin. I wasn't too crazy about them. I actually kind of like the Brahmas uniform, to be honest with you. But I do like that they've kind of tweaked some teams that we saw last year, like the Defenders getting kind of a camo shell. Renegades kind of look the same. I think the worst one has got to be the Roughnecks. They got a weird helmet design where there's like half of a logo on one, half a helmet on one side, then it's, because I think one side's like their normal helmet, then the other side is like the top is white and the bottom is red, and it just looks really bizarre. It kind of looks like that Navy helmet they had many years back. But I don't know. You got your Battle Hawks look fine. The Sea Dragons look fine. Similar to what they looked like last year. Nothing really blew me away. I don't know about you. They look like Under Armour uniforms. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, they all are similar, where most of them have like the shoulder stripes.
Yeah, a few of them do.
Yeah.
There's little details that they highlight in their video. I'm like rewatching it on silence right now, but they're okay.
Hence why we didn't do a video.
I think if we would have had, since this is an audio medium, it's a lot harder to talk about. Hence why I was struggling to describe the uniform for the Roughnecks. But I don't know. They look fine.
Go check them out for yourself and see these uniforms at xfl.com. Okay, moving on to some college football news. Not only was the Army-Navy game played on Saturday, but that night they awarded the Heisman Trophy winner, which is pretty standard, and they've been doing that for several years now. But the 88th Heisman Trophy goes to quarterback Caleb Williams of USC. And I just thought that was a strange choice out of the 4 they had, because when you look at the other 3, finalists, Ohio State's C.J. Stroud, TCU's Max Duggan, and Georgia's Stetson Bennett, they're all in the college football playoffs. The one that didn't make the playoffs gets the Heisman Trophy.
Yep.
It's a little odd, I think.
Yep, and I wasn't a fan of him doing the F Utah on his fingernails during their Pac-12 championship game. I don't know if you heard about that or saw that. We didn't talk about it, but yeah. But that's the guy that wins the Heisman. I mean, it is what it is. It's fine. I don't think he's eligible for the draft anyway this year.
No, yeah, he's got another year in college.
So put your money down. Could he win back-to-back Heismans for the first time since?
Archie Griffin.
There you go, I think. I don't know. You're the history buff. I can't even correct you right now.
Yes, it's Archie Griffin. Don't ask me the years, but it was Archie Griffin. Ohio State. In some more college news, Clint Dolezal has been named the head coach of the, I have Division II written down here, but according to the article, they just moved up to the FCS level last year. So they're the FCS, Texas A&M Commerce. And that's the school that produced quarterback Luis Perez, the Harlan Hill Trophy winner a few years ago. He's been bouncing around to all the, XFL, the USFL, all these minor leagues. I think he's played in every single one of them. But and he was with Detroit for a little bit too in the preseason a couple years ago. I always liked him. But Dolezal played college football at that school, Texas A&M Commerce, when it was known as East Texas State, which I also didn't know until I read that article. He, of course, was the quarterback of the Grand Rapids Rampage of the Arena Football League, beloved in Grand Rapids in the state of Michigan, and every arena fan within 100 miles of here, for winning Arena Bowl 15 back in 2001. And he was also the longtime head coach of the Philadelphia Soul Arena team, too. So good luck, Clint Dolezal, returning home to teach some young men from his home state what playing football and being a man's all about. Lastly, in our college news, the NCAA has granted football players at the University of Virginia who were in their final year of eligibility an extra year of eligibility to make up for the games that they lost this year. They lost their last two games after a mass shooting killed three of their teammates, and so the last two games were canceled. So I don't know exactly how many players that involved who were seniors playing their last year, but they are now going to get an extra year of eligibility if they want.
I'm a little surprised at the move, but I think a rare, classy move by the NCAA. So
doing something right for a change.
Yep, I know we never really talked about this story. It's a sad story.
Yeah,
and
we try to stay away from these sort of things, but this was a nice aspect of the story, was that they're going to get another year of eligibility. All right, Peyton's Places, Season 3, Episode 7 on ESPN+. I watched this last night, and it was all about football follies, and I love the football follies from NFL films. And he actually sat down and talked with Jim Marshall, who you may remember played for the Minnesota Vikings, and is famous for picking up a fumble and running the wrong way and scoring a safety when he thought he had a touchdown. So they talked to him, and that was kind of interesting, getting his perspective on the whole thing. He had a great career other than that one play. He was a dominating player.
I feel like that's a lot of guys that end up on the follies. Like they had a decent, okay career, but they will always be remembered for one infamous play, including Mr. Mark Sanchez and that butt fumble. I mean, he had a so-so NFL career. He wasn't a terrible quarterback, but he wasn't a great one. He had some success, and he will always be remembered for the butt fumble.
Yeah. And then in the second half of the show, he was sitting down in a movie theater with Keegan-Michael Key again, and they were watching a bunch of the follies and talking about the plays, and it was kind of interesting. So this was an okay episode. It wasn't one of the better ones, but it was good. And I don't know how many more episodes they've got, probably 3 more. But I've liked this season so far. It's been a really good season of Peyton's Places, and a lot of good stories and a lot of good interviews. Arena Football TV on YouTube. Again, I looked a little while ago, and no new games have been posted, but do check those out. They're awesome. If you remember the AFL, or if you want to know more about the AFL, you can watch actual games. Some of them they have partial games, but most of them they have the entire game, start to finish. With some pregame interviews and even some of the commercials that were on TV, because most of these things come from one man's collection, and he just basically threw in a VHS tape and let it record commercials and everything for a couple hours. So I'm glad that they have these, and you can find them all on YouTube. So Check out Arena Football TV on YouTube. Today's birthdays for December 13th. The first one is Rex Ryan. Coach Rex Ryan turns 60 years old today. He was an assistant coach with the Arizona Cardinals and the Baltimore Ravens before becoming the head coach of the New York Jets from 2009 to 2014, as well as the Buffalo Bills head coach from 2015 through 2016, which I thought he was a head coach longer than that.
It feels like it.
Yeah, it's like he's been around forever. And then our other birthday today is defensive end Richard Dent, turns 62 today. I would have sworn that Rex Ryan was older than Richard Dent. But Richard Dent played his college football at Tennessee State. He was selected in the 8th round of the 1983 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears, and he played 15 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Bears from 83 to 93. He played for the 49ers in 1994. He went back to the Bears in 1995. Then he played for the Indianapolis Colts in 1996 and finished his career with the Philadelphia Eagles in 1997. He won 2 Super Bowls during his career, Super Bowl 20, of course, with the Bears, and Super Bowl 29 with the 49ers. He was named MVP of Super Bowl 20. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2011. So happy birthday to Coach Rex Ryan and former defensive end with the Bears, Richard Dent. All right, we do have a couple of obituaries today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first one is John Gregory, who coached in college, the Canadian Football League, and the Arena Football League. He's passed away at the age of 84. Gregory played linebacker in college at Northern Iowa. He began his coaching career as an assistant coach at Iowa Central Community College, and in 1974 he became the head coach at South Dakota State. He coached the Jackrabbits from 1972 to 1981. He then became an assistant coach with the CFL's Winnipeg Blue Bombers from 1983 to 1986. He then became the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders from 1987 to 1991 and led the team to a Grey Cup title in 1989. He also spent time as an assistant coach with the Hamilton Tiger Cats from 1991 to 1994. He was named the first head coach of the Iowa Barnstormers of the Arena Football League in 1995 and coached quarterback Kurt Warner to 2 Arena Bowl appearances in 1996 and 1997. He was named AFL Coach of the Year both of those years. He coached the Barnstormers through 2000 and remained with the team when it moved to New York and became the New York Dragons. He coached the Dragons from 2001 to 2003, and he was with the Carolina Cobras in 2004. Gregory then coached the Arkansas Twisters of Arena Football 2, which was the AFL's developmental league. He coached there from 2005 to 2007, and then he returned to the Barnstormers once again in 2008 and was there through 2011. Gregory also served as the commissioner of the National Arena League during their inaugural season of 2017. Now, you and I attended a game between the AF2 Milwaukee Iron and the Barnstormers in 2009. You sat up in the press box with me, and we went back to the coach's press conference afterwards. So we got, I don't know if I remember if I asked him any questions or not, but we got to sit in on his press conference after the game. And am I mistaken? Was that the game where that kid played the national anthem on the guitar? Was that were you there with me, or was it Aaron?
I was there. I don't remember if that was the game.
Okay, it could have been another game, but I was thinking it was you because I think
we saw the Iron, I think, a couple times, didn't we?
Yeah, I took Aaron to a game also. He sat in the press box with me once, but yeah, there was a kid that played the national anthem on the guitar. I'd have to double check that, but that was a funny incident. But yeah, that was the obituary for John Gregory.
Mm-hmm. All right, and our next and final obituary this week is that of John McGeever, a defensive back in the American Football League for 5 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. McGeever played college football at Auburn and was selected in the 6th round of the 1962 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was also selected in the 7th round of the 1962 American Football League Draft by the Denver Broncos. He signed with the Broncos and played for the team from 1962 to 1965. He finished his playing career with the Dolphins in 1966.
All right, we're going to move on to this week's history lesson.
We do want to also mention there was a big passing today as Mississippi State head coach Mike Leach passed away.
Yes.
I know you like to do a little prep and write your own obituary for him, so that'll be next week.
We'll do that
probably.
next week. Yeah, it's been popping up everywhere today that he passed away, and so many things. My head's swimming over this, and so I want to take some time to do a decent obituary for him.
Yeah.
So we'll feature that next week. Okay, this week's history lesson, we're going to talk part 4 of the greatest offensive and defensive unit nicknames in football history. We've had some good ones so far. But this week, I have 5 more, and the very first one I have is the Steel Curtain. The Pittsburgh Steelers nickname given to the Steelers defense of the 1970s while they were dominating the NFL by winning 4 Super Bowls.
Great,
that was
classic.
a great nickname. I mean, it was so true. I mean, they were shutting everybody down. You know, Bradshaw back there passing, and that defense was just stopping everybody cold. So the Steel Curtain was an awesome nickname that a lot of people have that number 1 on their list. I mean, the way we're doing this is they're not in any order. You know, we're not going, first to last or whatever. We're just picking them out at random and talking about them. But yeah, the Steel Curtain. What an awesome nickname. Another awesome nickname, the Pony Express. Have you heard of this one?
I've heard this one.
Okay, this is from Southern Methodist University. The 1979 to 1980 SMU team featured a rushing duo of Eric Dickerson and Craig James, and they earned the nickname the Pony Express because of the school's nickname, the Mustangs. Dickerson went on to be the all-time single-season leading rusher in the NFL with the LA Rams in 1984 with 2,105 yards, a record that still stands to this day in the NFL. Craig James played 5 seasons with the Patriots from 1984 to 1988, so not too bad moving from SMU up to the NFL, but the Pony Express was a great nickname. Here's one I've heard of, but I didn't know the story behind it. The Electric Company. Have you heard of this one?
I have not heard of this one.
There was a kids show like Sesame Street that was called The Electric Company.
I know of the Electric Company.
Yeah, but this was the Buffalo Bills offensive line of the mid-'70s, and they were nicknamed the Electric Company because they were leading the way for O.J. Simpson, and it was said that they turned on the juice, and O.J. Simpson was known as the Juice.
Right.
So, Electric Company, turn on the juice, O.J. Simpson.
I get it. You don't have to explain it. I understand what that means.
Okay. I didn't know that because it had something to do with O.J. Simpson. All right. Now this is one I remember very vividly. The Over the Hill Gang. The Washington Redskins in the early 70s were nicknamed the Over the Hill Gang because they had so many veterans on the team. The average age of a Redskins starter was 31 years old.
31. That doesn't seem like anything now.
Yeah, I think they were giving away their draft picks because they wanted to win now. They didn't want to build through the draft. They felt they had a good team and they wanted to build through free agency. So they were getting all these free agents. And yeah, a lot of these guys were older. They were kind of towards the end of their career or mid to late part of their career, but they played well. I don't remember if they won too many championships, but I do remember the Over the Hill Gang for that whole team because they just had a lot of old guys on it. And finally, the Miami Dolphins Killer Bees. The 1982 Dolphins' fierce defense was named the Killer Bees because of how many players on the defense had the last name that began with B. There was Bob Baumhauer, Bill Barnett, Lyle Blackwood, Kim Bocamper, Glenn Blackwood, Charles Bowser, Doug Betters, and Bob Brzezinski.
That's a lot of bees.
That's a killer just trying to pronounce all those names. But yeah, the Killer Bees. So to recap, you had the Steel Curtains of the Steelers, the Pony Express at SMU, the Electric Company of the Buffalo Bills, the Over the Hill Gang of the Washington Redskins, and the Killer Bees of the Miami Dolphins. All great names, and we'll have 5 more next week, and I think that will be it for our discussion on nicknames.
Okay, I was gonna say I've only heard of the Steel Curtain, Pony Express, and that's about maybe the Killer Bees. I can't remember, but I'll say that I've at least can tell you about 2 of them.
Yeah, a lot of these names, you've heard them, but you can't remember what team or what was the reason
Right.
for that. So that's why we're doing this. All right. Lastly, today, upcoming events. Wednesday, December 14th. That's tomorrow. The National Junior College Athletic Association Division I Championship. Number 1 Hutchinson versus number 3 Iowa Western. That game's on ESPNU, and it's going to be played in Little Rock, Arkansas. On Friday, December 16th, the Division III Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl, Mount Union versus North Central of Illinois. And on Saturday, December 17th, the 67th Annual NAIA Championship game, number 12 Kaiser of Florida versus number 3 Northwestern of Iowa at Durham County Memorial Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Also on the 17th, the Division II National Championship game between Ferris State and the Colorado School of Mines. Then we jump to December 31st, a couple of college football semifinal games. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl versus, including number 1 Georgia and number 4 Ohio State. And the other game that night is going to be the Fiesta Bowl, number 2 Michigan versus number 3 TCU in Glendale, Arizona. Then we jump to Sunday, January 8th. You get the NFL regular season coming to an end. And Monday, January 9th, the College Football National Championship game at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. And finally, Sunday, February 12th, Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona.
Yep.
That's it for the upcoming events.
Yeah.
All right. Anything before we call this a show for this week?
No, no breaking news as of right now, other than what we mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
All right. Well, I was told I have a brand new script to read, so
I only changed one little bit of it.
okay. Well, we'll find out as I read it for the first time. You can like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address there is at TWOF Kalamazoo. So far, so good. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube. You can search YouTube for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle youtube.com/ and then the @ The World of Football. So please subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.